the Strait of Hormuz and what you're going to be served at your dinner table tonight are connected by the same supply chain. Corporations have an incredibly important role to play in terms of helping the government come out with good policy.
But then when we say that the corporates has a big role in defining the policies, can there be a bias also on that front?
Corporate world brings a lot of value in terms of domain expertise, in terms of knowledge of running business, in terms of sharing real data with the government on how things are happening on the ground, and therefore then proactively being a partner to the country's success. So my goal when I was in policy was country first, industry second, my own firm first. If we don't do something good for our country, are we going to expect people from outside to come and do it?
Generative AI and the future of IT jobs in India.
I think a tremendous opportunity. Every time there is a technology disruption, the biggest fear is that jobs will be lost.
Gen Z have a different mindset. How do you see their work culture and work behavior?
Just because they like to watch more OTT than me doesn't mean I'm smarter than them.
Welcome back to the Tajinder Kalsi Show. India's digital transformation didn't happen overnight. It was built over decades by the people who believed in the power of technology long before it became fashionable. And today's guest is one of those leaders. Talking about him, he has spent over 4 decades shaping India's technology and the internet landscape. He has helped global giants establish their strong foundations in the South Asia. And he's also recognized among the top 100 IITians who stayed back in India and contributed to India's growth, especially at a time when it was a common thing for people to move abroad for pursuing their further career. He instead chose to stay back and build the Indian landscape. And he continues to influence the intersection of technology, business strategy, and the public policy. And apart from that, he has also played a critical role in building India's global capability centers, helping the country emerge as a global technology hub. So on that note, let's welcome our guest for today, who is Manoj Chugh. Thank you, sir, for being part of the show. Welcome to the Tajinder Kalsi Show.
Thank you very much, Tajinder, for having me here.
It's my pleasure, sir. Based on the whatever I know about you, I mean, the first statement that I was influenced with was you stayed back in India when it was very common for people to move across. So, what was the reason for that? I mean, I'll start from there only.
Well, Tajinder, it's a deeply personal question. So when I graduated, one of the things which kind of struck in my mind was the eagerness with which many of my batchmates were wanting to leave India and to actually look for careers and opportunities outside. And I don't blame them, I don't judge them. If you look at the quality of life, look at the opportunities, certainly they were much, much better outside India.
I mean, especially at that time.
At that point in time, and then of course, the reality is when you're getting an opportunity and it is coming your way, and you know that you are going to be able to have a much better environment to work in, to bring up a family and so on, you can't blame the individual. And I think that really struck me that a lot of people were, I would say, crazy is the word, right? To really find a way to get a ticket and go out, go to their parents and say, please, just fund my ticket. I've got a scholarship, the rest I'm going to manage, and I will do whatever I have to do, right? But I want to find an opportunity to find a home elsewhere, and I don't blame them. You must remember, Tajinder, at that point in time, I graduated in the early 80s. India's canvas had not got painted at that point in time.
I mean, I was just born at that time.
You were just born at that time. So, the reality is that for some of us, when we looked at our environment, we were blessed. We got extraordinary education. When we were at IIT, just funded by the taxpayer. And in a way, I felt that maybe I should stay back and contribute in whatever little way that I can. So I think it was an inner calling that when I found so many people just getting up and leaving, when I turned around and say, maybe some of us should really stay back.
Someone has to think about it.
And see what we can do. And in a way, I think it was a small token of my, way of repaying the taxpayer for what they had done. It was their blood, sweat and tears which had educated me.
I mean, not many people think in that way. Glad that you thought, and we have seen the impact of it now.
Of course, times have changed now, as you know, Tajinder.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, you have a remarkable 4 decades of journey, 4 decades plus now, actually. What was that thing that sparked your interest into the technology space? How did you get started?
Yeah, very interesting, Tajinder. So when I was graduating, in the final semester, companies come to your campus.
Yeah.
Now, I studied to be a chemical engineer, so it was very logical for me to throw my hat in the ring for
Yeah.
roles on the engineering side with those kind of firms. But interestingly, what happened was that at that point in time, if you look at the IT landscape in India, IBM had left India. There was a vacuum. There were Indian entrepreneurial organizations which had kind of set up businesses in the country, brilliant minds
Yeah.
who also saw an opportunity
Yeah.
to really help India computerize. And some of those firms also had opted to come to campus to hire.
Okay.
And one of the things they said is that there was no bias in terms of the background from an engineering perspective for candidates who wanted to apply for those jobs. So I thought to myself, and I said that, look, this seems to be a new area. I don't know where it's going to be, but something which is new, when you are young, always inspires you, motivates you. And they were turning around and saying, look, you can be with any engineering background. We're just going to look at your fundamental quant skills and communication skills and see if you can be a right fit for us. So I said, no harm. Let me at least, go for the interview.
Correct.
So, in college, right, borrowed the tie of my friend and I said, chalo, hum bhi chalte hain.
Okay. So it happens in real life.
It does happen in real life.
Movies.
The ties are always shared, when it's your interview.
Right.
So I'm sure interviewer wonders, how come everyone's got the same tie or same color tie. But, so I threw my hat in the ring. A number of IT firms were coming, very young firms, early days yet for the IT industry in India. And I was blessed and fortunate to, get offers from several of them. And then that's how I kind of decided to choose a career in IT. The chemical engineering industry was also very welcoming. I had a few offers from the engineering industry as well. But when I sat back and I looked at myself, and I was 21, and I thought that where am I going to be 30, 40 years from now? Something just told me that being in IT may be the right thing for me. So frankly, Tajinder, I don't know whether I chose IT or IT chose me.
It's all part
But
of the
that was
destiny.
my destiny.
Right. So, I mean, since you mentioned you were 21 at that time when you graduated and you got your first job. So, if I talk about the listeners now, the freshers who are listening to the episode now, when going back into the same time or looking at the time now, actually, if you're still that 21-year-old fresh graduate, would you still choose to stay back in India?
Now there is absolutely no doubt.
Right.
When I stayed back in India, I stayed back despite the challenges.
Right.
Today, you stay back in India for the opportunities.
Okay. So how is it different from these opportunities abroad now as compared to what is there in India?
I think you have to first look at our own country. So let me compare and contrast. So when I graduated, India's GDP, Tajinder, which is when you were born, was $200 billion.
Okay.
Which is equal roughly to the size of a large American company. So one large American company was equal to India's GDP. Our population was about 730 million at that time, half of what it is today. We were a closed economy.
Okay.
The opportunities, therefore, were very limited.
Yes.
That was the scenario at that time. Contrast it to today. India is going to be in the very near future amongst the top 3 economies in the world.
Right.
Look at the opportunities we have today when it comes to new age areas, artificial intelligence, semiconductor, quantum, renewable energy, and the list goes on and on and on. So the opportunities that exist today for our youngsters are far more than ever existed before. Second, you get to stay back in your own country.
Yeah.
You get to stay with your family. You get to stay back with your parents, with the larger ecosystem. So if the opportunity is here, you can get to stay in your own country. Why would you not do that? And of course, for partnerships, for your ecosystem, you want to travel overseas, you can travel anytime, right? traveling today is much, much, much easier than it was at that point in time. So I would say that India is a much more open, globally interconnected country today. So the opportunities are aplenty.
Correct. So true. I mean, I relate to that statement of yours when you say like travel to other destinations. Why go and stay there? I had that same kind of a like mindset earlier. People would often ask me why you are not trying for a job abroad, why you're working here, and I would say like, क्या करना है बाहर जाके? जाएंगे ना घूमने जाएंगे. I'll work here. Let me go there, spend time, vacation, and then come back again. And somehow God heard me, I think. Even if I tried for a job abroad now, I don't have the offer. It's always turning back to be in India only.
Very good. Excellent.
So somehow he is making sure that, yeah, please, you have to
stay grounded.
Right.
You enjoy the dhoop, the mitti,
yeah.
and the garmi of Delhi,
Correct. So true. Okay. So you were part of the generation that helped build India's early digital infrastructure. Okay. And at that time, like, since it was not so much evolving, it was still building. So what were the biggest challenges that India faced at that time?
Tajinder, the biggest challenge I think that we faced was not around technology. It was around mindset. The mindset to accept change was not there. And I think the basic fear that a lot of people had, a lot of professionals had around the fact that technology will take away their jobs. So that fear was very much lurking at the back of their mind.
Correct.
So large organizations in their back office, they used computers to do their payroll, financial accounting, inventory control, that was all okay. But bringing computers to the front end, customer service, and those kind of applications, clearly there was apprehension. Now, in the government, it was very interesting.
Okay.
In the early days when we started bringing PCs to the government, and we would tell the officers that we're going to have this PC sitting on your desktop, they had a keyboard phobia.
Okay.
They would turn around and say, "Arey, ये typing तो मेरा typist करेगा, मेरा secretary करेगा. You are wanting me to become my secretary."
Right.
And we try to tell them, no, that's not the idea. The idea is that you can do a lot, right, with the help of this computer. Of course, you will have to learn a few keystrokes to be able to access information, etc. But that was also the mindset.
Right.
That, अरे ये कंप्यूटर तो मेरे को अब टाइपिस्ट बना देगा, मेरे को सेक्रेटरी पर मैं तो डिमोट हो जाऊंगा if this computer is going to sit on my desktop.
How much the mindset has an influence on things being accepted?
Absolutely. See, at the end of the day, a technology transformation can only succeed if you can carry people with you.
Correct.
If people are not convinced, if they don't see the logic, they don't see the value, they don't see merit, then they are going to drag their feet. There's going to be huge friction.
Correct.
And I think when we started building the digital infrastructure, started bringing computer applications, whether it was to the public sector, private sector, government, we had to do it brick by brick.
Yeah.
We had to do it one application at a time. We had to build confidence that computers are going to improve productivity, improve the quality of your life, so that you can now spend time doing things which truly matter.
Correct.
And I think that mindset change, that shift took time.
And I think this stands still true in the current era because of the coming of the AI now.
Absolutely.
The same thing applies. I mean, you want to accept it or deny it, but you have to make a mindset shift.
Every technology disruption at the end of the day will only succeed if people believe in it and embrace it.
Correct. Now, since we talked about the digital infrastructure, now India is leading in the digital public infrastructure like UPI, Aadhaar, and many more things like that. So, at that point of time, did you imagine this kind of a scale in terms of this technology?
Not in my dreams. Not in my dreams, Tajinder. I think what we are seeing today in terms of the kind of digital public infrastructure and what we have achieved, 100 billion UPI transactions a year, we could never, ever have imagined.
Correct.
We had started in an era where we had to start convincing people on the value and benefit of computerization.
Right.
We had to start at the foundation, at the very basics. So it was very different, and I'm glad that we built the foundation. Had we not built the foundation, the value and benefit that our economy is seeing because of DPI, we would never have seen that.
Right. I mean, accepting the UPI itself, we remember like when it started, and thanks to COVID actually, that UPI became a normal thing. Prior to COVID, it was very difficult for people to use it. I mean, shopkeepers, the small merchants, they would always deny using the UPI things. नहीं हमें नहीं देना है, tax देना पड़ेगा. COVID hit and people started accepting it because there was no other alternative.
Absolutely.
There was a cash crunch everywhere,
and not only that, I mean, you wanted to maintain safe distance.
Yeah.
So nothing better than
Nothing
just
better than
scanning from a distance
Correct.
and doing a transaction.
So it happened. If we talk about the global capability centers, so now India has approximately around 1,800 global capability centers. And you were at that time, I mean, at the beginning of those establishments, I mean, when it started getting implemented. At that point of time, what did you exactly see that the market was not seeing?
You know, I saw something very interesting. What I saw was that India had huge amount of talent around engineering,
Yes.
as well as on the management and business side, which was globally competitive.
Correct.
But unfortunately was restricted to working only within our Indian environment.
Right.
So we had this fantastic set of people, brilliant in every way, but the overall ecosystem in which they could operate was very limited. A thought which always rankled me was the sights and scenes of my friends in college, many of them, my own batchmates, leaving India, brilliant guys leaving India. And I thought that if there was a way in which we could connect the talent that we have in India with the global value chain without having our people to leave the country, then that could be perhaps a mantra for success for many, many generations of professionals to come. So our thought around GCCs was not cost arbitrage. It was talent arbitrage.
Right.
So that's where we started. And I'm very, very pleased at the progress that we have seen. And even at that time, my pitch used to be, because not easy to convince people to come and spend hundreds of millions of dollars and set up global capability centers. They're expensive to set up, to leverage India's talent for cost. So that was a good hook, that come to India for cost. But and I used to tell them at that point in time, more than 25 years ago, that you will stay for quality and you will invest for innovation.
Right.
People said, oh, that's all right. That's his nice talk. As long as I'm getting a cost benefit, my operating margins as a firm are improving, then that's perfectly fine. That's a good enough reason. But I used to tell them that, yes, we're hooking you in because of cost, but that is not the reason why you will continue to stay and continue to invest. And today, Tajinder, when you look at AI, I am so happy that many centers of excellence of global companies around AI are being set up in India.
Right.
It is the Indian leaders which are being tasked with working the AI strategy for those firms, right? Contrary to 25 years ago, when the guys actually in home office thought that we should use Indian engineers because they can deliver at a lower cost.
Right.
It's a big shift.
Big shift. I mean, and I was like, when I was reading about the GCC, it says like around it's employing close to 2 million people.
Absolutely.
So that's a big number.
Absolutely.
It's a big opportunity for the people across.
Correct.
And you have also been a group executive board member at the Mahindra Group. Okay. And you are leading the public policy function over there. So generally when the people are in the technology space, they stay away from the policy making role. So why you leaned into it?
Well, you know, it's a very interesting question. And Tajinder, you're right. I am one of the very few executives who did a business role for almost 40 years and then moved into a very significant policy role in a very large diversified corporation. And actually, it was my years that I spent in business. I had the fortune of leading 5 businesses to pole position. And every business that I worked in, I always found the hidden hand. So I worked in satellite communications. Now, you know, when you work in satellite communications, you've got spectrum. So you've got a spectrum policy. and then I helped build out the network infrastructure in this country.
Right.
When you do that, then you have a different set of policies that you need to deal with. So how are you going to go and connect an IP network with a TDM network? And again, there are regulations around all of that. And then I had the opportunity of running a global IT services business. And there, as you know, in that business, entry barriers to different countries are different, particularly when it is about mobility of talent.
Correct.
So I think in the different roles, I found that policy and regulation played a very, very important role in terms of determining business success. Now, that is not how I had seen it when I was running those roles.
Okay.
I think policy was never the top of mind agenda when we were, for example, discussing strategy or when we were looking at our annual operating plan. This was just assumed that everything will just happen.
Right.
It's going to be hunky-dory. But I think as I started seeing roadblocks occur in the different roles that I did, I recognized the importance of policy. The reason why I really took on the policy role was because I felt that corporations have an incredibly important role to play in terms of helping the government come out with good policy.
Correct.
If corporates don't play a proactive role in partnering with the government around regulation and policy, then we are not doing our job, we are not doing our role. If we have to help India lead in the world of tomorrow, we must have best-in-class policies, best-in-class regulation, and the corporate sector has to work hand in hand in a very constructive fashion because the corporate world brings a lot of value in terms of domain expertise, in terms of knowledge of running business, in terms of sharing real data with the government on how things are happening on the ground, and therefore then proactively being a partner to the country's success. So my goal when I was in policy was country first, industry second, my own firm third.
Okay, country first. I mean, I remember the latest movie, Dhurandhar, like India first. It's always been the tagline over there, and I can.
So that tagline is today, but I took on the policy role many years ago.
Long back.
But it was my belief that being an integral part of corporate India, that is something which is incumbent on us.
Right.
If we don't do something good for our country, are we going to expect people from outside to come and do it?
Correct. That's just right. But then when we say that the corporates has a big role in defining the policies, can there be a bias also on that part?
See, our goal is evidence-based. So when we are making a recommendation, we have to keep the country first.
Right.
If we are selfish and we start looking at a firm first, then you're not going to get a good outcome.
Correct.
So we have to be clear on what is the outcome that we are trying to drive. So for example, if we turn around and say that everyone should help India achieve net zero by 2070, then it's a goal which all of us are working towards. And all of us have committed to that goal, whether it's industry, whether it's the public sector, whether it is government institutions, whether it's the policymakers, all of us are marching in the same direction.
Correct.
If we are turning around and saying that we want to reduce dependence on fossil fuels as far as mobility is concerned, then everyone is working together in terms of coming up with a robust EV policy, right? Which is something that can be implemented, which is going to benefit the common citizen, which is going to benefit the manufacturer, and which is going to benefit India as a country and our citizens, because we will lower our dependence on fossil fuels. And as you know, we are importing more than 85% of that, which is causing us huge concern today.
Correct. I mean, see, as a common man, maybe people don't think about like how much important the policies are and what kind of a role the companies has towards it. Maybe this will give them the insight because, I mean, even when I was into the job earlier, in the initial phase, I would never understand it from this kind of a mindset. It was just like doing my day-to-day job, getting my paycheck, and that's it. Only once you start growing, you understand the shift in the mindset. When you start understanding the business actually, then the policies makes a sense. So it takes time. And common people are never related to it directly, so they don't actually get the understanding in that sense.
I know.
So it's important for them to also know it.
And it has to be woven into the strategy of the firm, and then you kind of make people aware, run workshops and so on and so forth. And that's when people will understand the value.
And that is where, like, when the company says we have a mission statement, they need to actually have some programs to help the employees understand what exactly that mission statement means.
Absolutely.
Because just having a statement is not enough.
I agree.
There are many employees who never understood it. They're just doing the work and retiring and going off. But
and they think that this is something which the marketing guy has
exactly,
written.
exactly. I mean, it's statement only. Now, what does
Yes.
it mean? Because there's a deep meaning behind it. And I think on that part only, you are doing some blogs which talks about the policy reflections.
Yes.
And you publish quarterly.
No, actually, we do a policy reflections piece every Friday.
Okay.
And our whole goal is that we take topics, and then try and demystify them, or we look at what are the major changes around policy and regulation that have happened across sectors during the last week or so, and hopefully, that way, Rome was not built in a day.
Yeah.
And I have seen India's digital transformation was not built in a day.
It took
So
a
the
long
whole
time.
idea is that how do we make more and more people aware about policy, the impact of policy, what it means, and so on and so forth. So that's the spirit in which we've started this every Friday.
So I actually was going through your blog, so I saw that you have a fascinating piece on India's energy diplomacy, and also something around the West Asia conflict, and the recent thing about the Strait of Hormuz operation. So
yes.
I mean, if you can talk more about these things.
Well, when we were writing that piece, Tajinder, you will laugh at it if I tell you. My underlying theme was very simple. How do we help people to understand that the Strait of Hormuz and what you're going to be served at your dinner table tonight are connected by the same supply chain?
Right.
A lot of people will look at what's happening in Hormuz and say, yeah, it's West Asia, let's see what this guy is doing. We look at the political angle, we look at the kinetic angle. Isne itne jahaz gira diye, isne utne jahaz. What we are not realizing is that actually what's happening there is going to impact.
Exactly.
What's going to come up on your table, because
it actually impacted.
And it is impacted because now all of a sudden you've run out of gas.
Right.
And then you're told, okay, ji, ab chulhe ke upar to jo hoga so hoga. And a lot of people have even forgotten.
Right.
And of course, then they were looking for induction. Then you need the right cookers. And
it
your
actually took a
patilas
boom.
are now not working on the induction. So all of a sudden, I thought that let's write a piece where we tell people that, look, sorry guys, bad or good, what you're going to have at dinner tonight, I don't know what you're going to have, right, is actually interconnected to the same supply chain on what you're seeing on TV, what you're seeing on OTT, what you're seeing on YouTube.
Correct.
Right? Don't just think, ये देखो क्या हो रहा है उधर और general knowledge बढ़ा रहे हो, आपको पता नहीं खाने को भी कुछ मिलेगा कि नहीं मिलेगा. And I think that that was the whole idea. How do you kind of make people aware that all of these issues are interconnected? The other thing which I speak about often is that if you look at India's data pipelines, majority of our global interconnectivity, which is through our western seaboard, those pipes also, those submarine cables, also most of them, a lot of the traffic flows through Hormuz.
Right.
So Hormuz is not just only crude, petroleum, etc., which it is. It's a big deal for us, but it's also data.
Correct.
The submarine cables which carry data to India from a western seaboard are from under the very same
area.
Hormuz.
Right. I mean, a small disruption in those cables, it can be have a big impact.
And you know that, right? Now you can't even go and repair the cables.
Exactly.
You try to repair the cables, you risk yourself, right? So now, God forbid, somebody cuts the cable or the cable gets disrupted, it's just going to go and impact internet connectivity to hundreds and thousands of subscribers in India.
Correct.
So now you will not get your internet and you will not get your food at your table, right? If you don't understand the impact.
Correct. See, that's what I'm saying. When you talk about policies at the national level or global level, common people don't understand. And that is where your policy reflection comes into picture. Like, you're making it easy for people to understand how it is actually impacting, how the policies have an impact on the day-to-day life also.
That's the whole idea.
Right.
Because everyone loves pieces on technology and AI and all that. And I write a lot. I write lots of white papers. So I said, then let me just start writing on policy as well, something different.
Right.
And not necessarily on technology and impact and so on.
I think, people who are interested into policies or who want to get more awareness, they should start referring your blogs.
I would say that it's all generic. We don't pander to anyone's agenda. The whole idea is we will just look at what's happening around there and try and simplify it for you.
Correct. What are the top 5 policies that you believe will have the most transformative impact on the India's economy?
The first is around data sovereignty.
Okay.
We have to take that seriously. If we don't take data sovereignty seriously, then our data will get colonized.
Right.
So if India wants to see itself as a digital superpower, data sovereignty is the foundation. So I would say that's number one on my list. Number two on my list is the semiconductor mission.
Okay.
I think the government has placed its bet. It's not going to happen overnight, but it is super critical that we get to make our own chips. The third area is around FTAs, the free trade agreements.
Okay.
India is signing a number of them. We have already signed some. The India-UK, the India-EU, what we are going to see with the US, what we are doing with many other countries. Some we are renegotiating, as you know. The impact of these free trade agreements on our economy, I think that is the third big thing. Okay. All the FTAs that we sign, we bring them to life, and then we make sure they're executed so that they kind of create a very positive impact for India. And in a way, it also improves our global relationships and makes us much tighter with people who are similar-minded as us. So the impact of the FTAs is the third. The fourth is AI. I think we have a huge opportunity as a country, not just to be a consumer, but also to be a creator. When I'm talking about creation, I'm not just talking about building LLMs. I'm talking about creating use cases. Because it is use cases at the end of the day which will move the needle in terms of business outcomes.
Correct.
And in terms of societal impact, whether it's outcomes on healthcare, education, and so on and so forth. So societal as well as business outcomes driven by AI use cases. And I think that is something which, if we can define very good AI frameworks from a regulatory policy perspective, that will go a long way. And my fifth one is around manufacturing and sustainability. I count them in the same breath. India has to do a lot more in manufacturing. We came out with the PLI scheme, which I feel is a fantastic scheme. I think, how do we take that forward? How do we bring renewables into that equation so that sustainability and manufacturing can thrust our country forward in a positive and a responsible fashion?
Okay, so you mentioned about the data sovereignty as the first part. What exactly would be the role of the DPDP Act in relation to that?
Oh, absolutely. I think the DPDP Act is a very important act. It talks about protecting the data for all of India's citizens. And I think every country needs to make sure that the data, which is in a way an identity of every individual, particularly in a democracy like India, is absolutely protected. I think that organizations need to step up their preparedness around DPDP. My concern is that many organizations are thinking that, this applies to the big boys, it doesn't apply to me. The fact is DPDP applies to every enterprise who's touching a customer.
Correct.
Whether the customer is an individual consumer or whether the customer is a B2B customer, if you are touching any customer and you have someone's data that you are either acquiring or you're taking action on or you're keeping, etc., the DPDP Act applies to you. That means the DPDP Act applies to all of us. And I think everyone must wake up and start preparing, because we have only a few months to go.
Exactly. I mean, it got effective in November last year, and we're already sitting in the end of like half of the year now.
Half of the year, and we got a few months more to go. And so nobody should come and blame the government if it comes behind people and says that, look, you're not adhering to DPDP, and there are punitive measures that are going to be taken.
It's a big amount.
And some of those are very, very significant financial penalties as well.
Especially for the small companies, when they say that we are not concerned about it. maybe their overall turnover is not that much.
It's got nothing to do with your revenue. It's got nothing to do
The
with
fine
your
is
turnover.
much more than the turnover.
It's fine.
So they have to think
So
about.
I would say DPDP is incredibly important. I think people are underestimating the level of preparedness. It's not easy. They have to start a journey. They have to look at the data. First of all, a lot of people don't even know where all their data exists. Which silos is it in? So you first need to figure out where is your data. Then you need to figure out what data relates to your customers and consumers. Then you need to figure out how you're going to treat that data. And there's just not a one-time exercise because your customers keep coming all the time. Then you have to make sure that you have a consent management system in place, and all the time, you are making sure that you're adhering to the laws, and you have a very solid governance framework. So it's not a one-off exercise. That I will call a consultant, I will give money, and I wash my hands off. It's going to be day after day, week after week, month after month, forever. And there has to be very strong governance around that.
I can understand your point deeply because being from the cybersecurity space and I've worked with the data privacy frameworks also. Now, companies have a notion that, okay, we are already adhering to the EU regulation, the GDPR. So it's easy, we'll just make some changes and DPDP will be okay for us. But that's not how it will actually work. They have to have a process in place for that.
Absolutely.
And people are not working on it. Okay. Now, since we talked about so many policies and their implementation, but if we look through the history of India, okay, there has always been a gap between the policy announcement and the actual execution. So, how optimistic are you that the coming year would be different in that respect?
I think that the intent of the government is very strong, which is super critical. So I think as far as the policies for FY26 are concerned, particularly if you look on the technology side, the writing is on the wall. We as a country recognize that we want to continue to be a technology powerhouse. You're seeing what's happening on the data center side. So I would say there is going to be significant acceleration in terms of activity, but we must also be very, very clear that we have to be ready for some level of friction. And why do I say friction? The reason why I say friction is because at the end of the day, regulation has to come out around data. And we're just speaking about DPDP. Regulation will come out around AI. So while there will be acceleration at one end, there will also be friction at the other. That there are going to be specific regulations which are going to come out, particularly around sovereignty of data, which is already there, around data protection, around artificial intelligence, and so on. And we have to be just ready for that. So I would say the policy environment during the course of the year is going to be active. And I think the government's done a tremendous job so far.
Okay. So that, again, a mindset shift is needed from the people that earlier it was a notion that, okay, theek hai, announce ho gaya, it will take time to implement, we have ample amount of time. But now that will not happen.
You see, that problem is that's the way we have been educating ourselves, right? We wake up at the 11:30 hour and realize tomorrow morning is the exam. Then we call our friend and say, "Bhai, do you know what is the syllabus?" Okay, if you know the syllabus, do you have the book? So we can't have that attitude anymore. We are no longer in college. We must remember that.
Correct. So that mindset shift is needed.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now I'll just talk about the trending topics. Okay. I'll be throwing the topics at you, and you can just give me your sharpest takes, maybe one line or two lines.
Sure.
That is okay. So AI regulation, will it be a friend or foe for India's tech sector?
If we do it right, it will be a friend. And I think that India will be in the right direction. India will want to encourage entrepreneurs while protecting citizens. So India will keep in mind innovation, and yet at the same point in time, make sure that there is no harm. So we will encourage innovation, but we will make sure there is no harm. I believe India should, and that's my request, should make sure that we don't shut doors and become totally risk averse and start coming out with very stringent compliances and so on and so forth. So we need to take a very balanced approach.
Okay, generative AI and the future of IT jobs in India.
I think a tremendous opportunity. Every time there is a technology disruption, the biggest fear is that jobs will be lost.
Exactly.
And each time we have found that the jobs have only grown. But the anxiety levels are high.
Yeah, it's too high.
I think we must tell everyone not to be complacent.
Okay.
Only the paranoid will survive. That's what Andy Grove said. And that's the mindset that everyone, all of our youngsters, must have. Ultimately, AI will generate more jobs, but you need to be on your toes.
Yeah. Right. Okay. India's semiconductor ambitions, is it realistic or aspirational?
I think the government has absolutely put its money where its mouth is. Government is very committed. Semiconductor will not happen overnight. It is a 10 to 15-year journey. But the early steps have been taken. We have seen that Micron has already set up their test and assembly facility. We have seen what Tata Electronics is doing in Dholera, and many others are following. I think we have to be patient. Semiconductor takes a lot of money, a lot of capital is needed, and a lot of patience is needed. But the early proof points are very encouraging.
Okay. India's digital public infrastructure, like UPI, Aadhaar, and all, it's being exploited globally. So, how big is this a deal?
I think this is a very, very big deal. If you ask me, I would say our DPI infrastructure is our most powerful geopolitical weapon.
Okay.
And in fact, I would say not a weapon, I would say an asset to build friendships.
Okay.
Today, we have lots of countries in Africa, as you know, in Latin America, who are showing tremendous interest around leveraging of our DPI infrastructure.
Right.
I think our DPI infrastructure and what we can do is, of course, softer than military, but harder than diplomacy. Right. So I see a huge opportunity in terms of that being a very positive asset by which India can further its cause of being a leader in the global south.
Okay. If we talk about the freshers who are like fresh graduates and all, or just started their career, okay, maybe some domain, whatever they picked up. So maybe after hearing today's episode, they are a little anxious about their future and all, or what they want to pick up. So since we know that the market is competitive, AI is changing everything, and now the skills matter more. So what would you like to tell them like about their career aspirations?
You know, I think there are 5 areas that they must focus on. The first is in terms of being AI literate.
Okay.
When I say AI literate, I'm not saying that you start building LLM models. When I say you must be AI literate, that means you should be able to leverage and use AI and integrate it into the workflows and processes of a business, an organization, or whatever you want to pursue. The second is take a systems approach. You know, in the past, when you got a job or you got a role, you were given a certain set of tasks and you mastered those tasks, and that's what you did.
Correct.
I think going forward, it's going to be more important for us to know how all the parts come together to go build the system. So systems thinking is going to be very important, and that's where I think all of our youngsters should start looking, in terms of building, their skills. The third is domain. The world of generalists is going to get smaller and smaller. You have to build specialization in one area or the other. It could be in insurance, it could be in financial services, it could be in banking, it could be in discrete manufacturing, it could be in retail, and so on and so forth. Whichever area, choose an area but become a domain expert.
Okay.
Because AI clubbed with domain will bring about the transformation that the world is going to look for. So domain is going to be super critical. And even within the domain, try and be specialized in specific areas. So for example, if you're in financial services, become an expert. I'm just taking an example. There are so many in regulatory tech. Or anything else that you want. So domain is very important. The fourth important skill is communication. Clarity is important.
True.
If you don't have clarity of thought and you're not able to communicate well, you're going to have huge issues.
Correct.
Because at the end of the day, even when you want to leverage AI, you have to have clarity of thought.
Exactly.
And you should be able to communicate to everyone
Yeah.
In the entire value chain in terms of what you are doing, your role in the workflow, the role of the AI agents, and the work of the
Correct.
next colleague who is human in the loop. So ability to communicate, clarity of thought is going to be very important.
Correct.
Last but not least of all, a skill which has been the oldest skill in the world, networking.
Okay.
Right. Today, I speak to a lot of youngsters. The first question they ask is, अच्छा सर यहाँ बताइए कि work from home कितने दिन है? And I think to myself and say, look, they are going to lose one of the biggest assets in their career the more they stay at home, which is the network.
Networking.
Please remember, your network is the net worth.
Yeah.
And if you are not in office in the first place, and you don't start networking with your own colleagues, and then by leveraging them build a network outside,
Right.
then your net worth is only going to remain diminished.
Correct.
So
And since we're talking about networking, I mean, you are a result of my networking.
Absolutely.
Okay, having you on the episode today is because of the networking, actually.
Absolutely. So you certainly know the value of a network.
Correct.
So I would say that's the fifth, I would say, very, very important skill that people must learn, must abide with. Don't just stick to your mobile phone. Just don't stick to watching OTT all the time. Get out there, meet people, make friends, go meet customers, understand the business they are running, understand the challenges that they have, try and find ways in which you can be of value to them.
Right. But okay, on that part, I mean, because everyone talks about this thing, कि Gen Z have a different mindset. So how do you see their work culture and work behavior?
I think the current generation of youngsters is incredibly bright. I am very motivated by what I see, their level of intellect. Just because they like to watch more OTT than me doesn't mean I'm smarter than them.
Right.
They are much, much smarter than people of the current generation. And I'm very happy that they are so smart as they are. They are incredibly innovative.
Right.
They have lots of good ideas. We must listen more to them.
Okay. And since we talked about work from home thing, now Gen Z have bring in that topic like work-life balance. Okay. We people did not think much about work-life balance because we were taught that, okay, if you're putting in extras in the office, it's normal. Everyone does it. Now Gen Z have made that mindset shift. So what's your take on that part?
Yeah, my request to them is kabhi work bhi kar liya karo.
Right. Because there are many like trending memes and all or news coming in every day where a Gen Z has replied abruptly to the manager because of the work-life balance thing.
Yeah, but the managers must also understand that you are dealing with people from a different generation. I think maturity of the manager is incredibly important in such situations. You have to understand why that Gen Z is saying what he or she is saying.
Exactly.
And we have to respect, their point of view, and we have to work with them to make sure that, we make them comfortable so that they can deliver. Because I can tell you, once they apply their mind to a problem, they will absolutely crack it. And they will absolutely deliver the results. I have great confidence in the youngsters of this country.
Now, since we talked about the manager thing, like because, why I'm asking this is recently I saw a video on the internet where the Gen Z had declined, did not attend a meeting which was post 5 p.m. So her shift ended at 5 p.m. and the meeting was scheduled for 5:15. She did not attend. Manager calls her and says, why you did not attend? And she was simply saying that my work time ends at 5. So why did you schedule a meeting after that? Who is wrong over here?
You see, I think we have to accept that we have multi-generational colleagues who are working in our organization. And we have to respect each one's approach to life and work.
Correct.
And absolutely, why can't the manager go and schedule this meeting at 9 in the morning as an example?
Right.
Why do it at 5:15 in the evening? If there is a fire, then it's very different. Or there is a big emergency, then it is different. And then I'm sure that if he approaches his younger colleague and says, look, normally I would not have done it, but something incredibly urgent has come up which cannot wait till tomorrow morning. I would greatly appreciate if you could please stay back. And the younger colleague might say, oh, but I got my transport, etc., which has to go. Then the manager has to say, please don't worry, I'll make sure I take care of that.
Right.
So you have to understand, why is it that this person is wanting to rush at 5 p.m., right?
Correct.
Secondly, can this thing wait till tomorrow morning? If it can't, then sit and explain logically as to why you need the help and how you're going to help this person.
Correct.
Also, right, if this person's transport goes, then what are you doing?
Right.
Then don't read out the company policies and नहीं जी आने और जाने का तो आपको खुद ही करना है, हम थोड़ी कुछ करेंगे.
Right. So yeah.
So it works both ways.
Both ways. Yeah.
Works both ways.
Because every time such things happen, internet has a new video coming in, and then there's a discussion around it. Who is right? Who is wrong? So
there's no right or wrong. I think you can't measure everyone by your own yardstick.
Correct.
So just because when I was growing up and my manager used to do meetings at 9 p.m. and I attended all the meetings at 9 p.m., I'm going to expect Tajinder to do it.
No.
Is not the right approach.
Correct.
You have to change.
Correct. Things are changing, time is changing, everything has to change.
Absolutely.
Okay, now since we have talked about too much of technology, policy and serious stuffs, so let's move on to a fun segment. Okay, we'll switch the gears here completely. So I'll just throw in some questions and you can give your funny answer to it, or whatever you feel like is okay.
Sure.
Okay. The first gadget that you ever owned that changed your life completely?
BlackBerry.
If you had to live in one decade of tech history, going back, the 80s, 90s or the 2000s or today, which one would you live in?
2000s. That's when we brought internet to this country.
Okay. Okay. One tech billionaire you would love to have dinner with, and one question that you would like to ask him or her, whoever.
Elon Musk.
Okay.
What makes you tick?
Okay. Best advice you have ever received and from whom?
I've received lots of advice from many different friends, but the best advice that I received from a friend was, when you have done so much for global tech firms in India, why don't you do something for an Indian firm?
Okay. Okay. There must be a story around it. Okay, something about you that would surprise your audience, maybe on LinkedIn or other platforms that you are available.
I used to write poetry under a pen name in college.
Okay. Do you still continue that?
No. That stopped in college.
Why not?
Because I had to start doing business and start achieving my quarterly targets as a front-end sales guy. So you know, right? Either you do sales or you do poetry.
Right. Now you're writing policies and you're writing like policy reflections. So why not one section around poetry also?
Well, you've given me food for thought.
Right. Let's wait for that. Okay, so that brings us to the end of one segment. Now, before we wrap up for today's episode, some final wisdom thoughts from your side, like one habit that would separate great leaders from the good ones.
I think great leaders have this huge thing about being inclusive and are incredibly humble. I think humility, their ability to listen to everyone and being inclusive is remarkable.
One thing India must never compromise on is digital transformation.
In terms of our data, that's number one. Number two is we must make sure that whatever we are doing around digital in terms of building our overall economy, we should not let anybody be left behind. There is no point in turning around and saying that we succeeded technologically but failed as a country.
Right. One book that every aspiring tech professional should read.
Well, I don't have much of advice to tech professionals. They can pick any book that they want to read. I just want them to read.
Okay. Okay.
And I want them to read a lot, and I want them to read every weekend.
Okay.
At least.
At least. But if I talk about the business mindset or mindset shift, then would we suggest any book?
No, I think that at the end of the day, we must, and I want to encourage every professional to take out 2 hours every week.
Okay.
The world is changing very fast. There is reason for people to be anxious because of AI.
Right.
So the more we keep ourselves abreast, the more we continue to learn, the more relevant we will be.
Correct.
So I'm more focused around the overall learning. It could be that you just go on to some MOOCs platform online and you pick up any topic and you read around that. That's perfectly fine.
Okay, I'll start following that for sure. Okay, one message for every young professional who is watching this show today.
You are living in incredibly interesting times.
Right.
India is at its inflection point. The youngsters of today have the opportunity of seeing a developed India,
Right.
something which my generation missed out on.
Correct.
Don't miss out on the opportunity. Do your level best and take this country to the next level. My generation has done whatever we could to bring it to where it is today.
Right.
But if India has to be counted amongst the best nations, amongst all in the world, it is this generation which will make that difference.
Right.
They should not let that opportunity go.
So true. I mean, that's straight from the heart.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think on that note, we'll be able to wind up for today. This has been a quite insightful episode for sure. I mean, I learnt a lot. Okay, and I hope the audience also got many powerful insights from your wisdom. It also reminds us that the future of India will not be shaped just by the technology, but by the people, the leaders who understand how important it is and how the technology, policy, and society actually intersect. So basically, we need more leaders like you. Okay?
Thank you. That's so kind of you, so gracious of you. Thank you very much, Tajinder, for having me on the show.
Pleasure is mine.
And I truly enjoyed the time that we spent together.
Same here, sir. Okay. To our audience, if you enjoyed the episode today, please do like and subscribe and follow the channel. And if the insights resonates with you, or you feel like someone should listen to it, please do share the episode with them so that they also get to understand about the digital transformation that India has gone through. And stay tuned for the next episode, because in the next episode we'll be sitting with some other leader, some other professional, and explore their journey to help you have an insight for a different career option. Till then, stay safe, stay secure. Thank you.